And today I have a very special guest and a dear friend who's a serial entrepreneur. She's 40 under 40. She's also a co-founder of one of Forbes' top 200 startups called FlexiCloud, LinkedIn Top Voice. She's also Favicon's top 3 marketing strategies in India. She's the first South Indian entrepreneur to be featured on New York Times Square. I think this list keeps going on, Anuja. But more importantly, you are somebody who never believes in never give up. I don't think that's there in your dictionary.
Yeah. Hashtag never give up.
Hashtag never to give up. You're an absolutely fantastic, magnetic personality. You run an initiative called NEETS. You are a complete diversity evangelist. You believe that, hey, diversity is the thing and it should always be the thing. And you, at the core level, you're a super engaged mother and you feel that all you're doing is to enhance the value for your children and get more people to contribute to society. Anuja, please, thank you so much for being on this podcast. Pushkar and me are absolute fans of you. We follow you. You follow us on LinkedIn. But tell us, who is Anuja and what has got you here?
Just to interrupt, she doesn't follow you on LinkedIn. You follow her.
Sorry, let me correct myself. I follow you on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Pushkar is getting followed by everybody, useless and useful. But over to you.
Your turn.
So coming to who am I? So that's a big question which even I'm figuring out every single day because I'm exploring myself. So speaking about me, I was a naive girl whose dreams was simply to be a good professional, as they ask, when you're in your childhood, what you want to become. So my father was into bureaucracy, so my first idea was actually to become somebody kind of like him because he was always a great leader. He always knew how to handle his team. So for me, it was mostly like, yeah, I need to get a government job and then be someone like my father, or maybe crack an administrative service, and then that's how I was. I mean, I was trained, or I was. My system was mostly into that. And then my parents wanted me to do either like every conventional
Engineering, medicine.
medicine. Absolutely. We Mallus are actually very famous for it. I mean, during that era, or even now, I think it is still working. Either you go for engineering or you go for medicine. Since I have a
In the state, people go and do the UPSC, become IAS, IPS,
Oh, yeah.
and then they don't do any work for the rest of their lives.
No, but before that, you have to be an engineer to be an IOS.
Right.
So
So we are one step ahead you.
Great. So for me, I had little bit of problems in seeing blood and all those surgeries and stuff. So I always knew it that medicine was never an option for me. So I thought, fine, engineering. But I was not very good at maths because maths was the only subject which, for me, thinking, that logic part was bit hard to. The rest of the part, I was very studious. I know how to crack it, and the perfection mania of that typical girl thing. Everything was good, but math was a bit difficult because you need brains for that. So initially, I thought I did math or praying for that. But since I had to choose between medicine and engineering, I thought that fine, engineering say. And then when I got it, and my mother was so obsessed with me being an engineer because she thought that in this 4 years, there'll be a lot of people who would be retiring and there'll be a lot of opportunity in the government sector because my father is into, again, the governmental bureaucracy. She was kind of like, yeah, my daughter is going to become an engineer. And
So job security was
and the fact is that, trust me, Pushkar, I didn't even know why exactly I'm taking this course. Because when it came to my kids, my girl at 8th standard, she decided she was going for law. My son decided in 12th, yeah, I'm going to take finance. I'll not be but I don't. So I am actually in awe of the Gen Zs and the millennials that how can they decide what they want to become. So coming back to that question of who am I was a girl who didn't have any idea of what exactly I want to become. It was mostly like somebody used to tell me this is what you have to become. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll become that. And I was very good at studies. Even my 10th, 12th, everything, like very studious. And basically, I
The
always
common thing between you and Pushkar is you follow each other. The common thing between you and me is that we both went to Cochin University.
we both went to Kochi.
Pushkar, assist.
So I did my MTech in Casat. So my BTech was in Maharatnesh's College of Engineering, where I took the engineering, and then while the course was getting kind of to come, while it was coming to an end, I just went to vacation to my uncle's place, my father's brother's place, just for a visit, and there I got a job because he was a civil engineer, and people out there were kind of like somewhere smitten by me. They said that fine, you can work over here, and then. Again, we belong to a conservative, though modern, but still conservative system where they want to get me married very fast. So, and that is how I got married. So before even, I'm coming to that point, before even me understanding what exactly I want from the world or what exactly I'm going to do with my career or what exactly I want specifically, what Anuja wants, I never got an opportunity or a chance to even, because I was actually thinking of what others wants from me, and I was kind of like fine-tuned to that. So got married, started working in a corporate as a civil engineer, got good jobs because I got job at a very young age, which was easy for me to get career, and it was going good.
But you are always a people person, right?
I was a people's.
You're always a people person. Knowing, looking at your
I-
interviews and all that, you're like extremely.
I don't know. I don't know. I believe that, it's all about people actually, because however you bring technology, however you talk about professionalism. You say, sometimes I've heard people saying, be professional. So what is professional? Don't bring in emotions. See, the thing is that whom you're doing professional is also a person. So unless that person understand you, how can you connect with each other? How do you work on a synergy? Unless you work on a synergy, what productivity can come in? So I am always a people's person. So that is the reason why I had a very good career at every phase, because I could connect to my seniors, I could connect to my team, my juniors. Somewhere I could understand them, and I was able to convince people because I took that effort or patience enough to understand the other person. This actually helped me at a later point of time, which I never knew was my key forte or strong skill sets. So then 2013,
So when was your first job?
my first job was 2003 actually. I passed out in 2003. 2002, I got a job in 2002. 2003, I got married, and then 2011 we came back to India because my kids education was getting a bit of.
So where were you
We were
between?
in Dubai. We were in Dubai. So my husband was constantly traveling, and for me it was like very hard to manage kids, and my maids used to kind of like fly up and down, and sometimes because they had their own family issues, which I found very difficult. At a point of time, I had to resign the job and stuff like that. So I thought I'll take a break, and some of my friends were doing MTech by the then. So somewhere I got this idea of that fancy idea of why don't I do a post graduation? Because I want to go back to campus.
Did your mother push you towards the post?
No. I wanted to do post graduation. It was not out of something kind of like I want to build a career or something, because my husband's people were into oil based business. So I thought maybe it would be good for me to get involved. Most of them wanted, so I was like, fine, chalo, wo karte. But to my astonishment, once I came here, I understood that, oh my God, college is really good, because I was doing, I was coming to campus after a decade, after 10 years.
Where did you go? What did you decide to study?
Cochin University.
Cochin University. So I was the only person who had kids, that I had a student of mine whom I taught. In between, I went to Talkage for as an assistant
Teacher.
professor to teach, because I lost that touch of BTech curriculum. So to get back into, to get to MTech, I had to crack the gate thing. No, so the department test was the easy path. So I went to college to teach. For somewhere I got the back into the BTech curriculum. So it worked for me. And then when I got back, it was
So when you go-
one with my own student sitting next to me, and we are kind of like cracking. She was like, she used to call me Miss Sick, Miss. So I used to tell her, don't call me Miss. No, we are kind of like college mates.
Yeah.
It was actually fun, and from there I don't know this.
Wait, so you could teach at that particular point in time, like when you were in college, you could teach without an MTech, but you taught without an MTech and then you went for an MTech.
Exactly.
So you thought maybe at some point did you think you wanted to be an educator?
Uh,
Did you like
not
enjoy?
exactly, but I enjoyed campus.
You enjoyed.
Because see, I had an experience of industry, so for me it was not very hard that even if I don't have an MTech, I was better than others with my BTech, because I have a solid ground knowledge of what is happening in the industry. It's not a bookish academia, because academia has a big problem, because the teachers after BTech, they go for MTech, they've never seen the actual site or the scenario. So for that helped me actually, because I come from the actual industry. So at a point of time, like you said, I thought maybe educator was my thing. And my father was so clinched with the fact that, yeah, you should become a professor in a engineering college. Eventually, you will become the principal of that college. And what's
a lot of
status.
There is a lot of social status associated with that. Right?
Absolutely. But I didn't want that. So I told my father, okay, listen, I did engineering, I did whatever you asked. I don't know how to do any of these things. I might think of it. On the other hand, my husband wanted me to do MTech because he want to run a environmental infrastructure wherein if I take an MTech, it was easy for me to do it. Because all of them were sure of one thing, that I will crack the MTech thing. Because I'm very studious in that. But during that, something, what do you call it? Something unexpected happened, because I got in connection with an MBA faculty who was so much clinched with creating an idea of a curriculum, a curriculum for engineers. So where we decided we will create an engineering curriculum for students, because these people who, however they study, however they have more than 80% mark, but they are not hired, they are not they cannot.
They're not applicable. Which is the same thing that India has with the engineers as well, right?
So
large
that time, Sandeep, I start in 2013, I created an EdTech curriculum. That time EdTech was not there. And we never, I don't know what is startup at that time. It was an idea, a concept. So I named it LICE, Learning Innovative Key Employment Skills.
Wow.
I collaborated with my engineering friends who were mechanic, who were in MRF and all these big companies, tire companies, Michelin and stuff like that. So I collaborated with them. I asked, could you create a curriculum for me for the mechanical students so that they can be hiring? I connected with civil engineering friends of mine who were into hardcore what do you call G plus 100 and G plus 50 kind of infrastructures, who said that they'll also give me a curriculum so that if this is like something like a crash course. So
yeah, so you were trying to basically bridge
academy.
basically you're bridging that. You're basically building a finishing school, essentially.
Absolutely.
You're building a finishing school industry with
But I was very ahead of time. And the thing is that I was so obsessed with that idea that I forgot that to implement it, I or my the fellow person who was along with me, or my entire team whom I hired at 15,000 bucks at that time. 15K was a salary in 2030. Even now, people don't. People don't get that paid, because my point was that I come from Dubai, so I calculate that standards based on that conversion. At least people should get this much. No, otherwise, how can they survive?
when they live.
So unfortunately, my problem is that I didn't know the finance. I didn't know the math. So I took money, I spent money.
Yeah, I heard that from one of your interviews, and that's a very big struggle.
Very
And a lot of
tough. I spent money within 6 months. I understood that I don't have a single penny with me, and by the time my family turned against me. They were like, because a girl who was doing pretty good with corporate, and she was spending
Wait,
time.
tell me something. In this story, you never told your family that you were doing this, or you were doing this in the site.
No.
They knew that you were doing it.
They knew that I was doing something on a education-based thing, but they never knew that I was creating something of my own where I need to find the revenue for me and for the rest of others.
Sure.
They thought that it was like a project I was working with, wherein, because during that time, people didn't understand what the definition of entrepreneurship was.
Right.
My father used to tell at a point of time, never tell me the word entrepreneurship in this house. It's banned out here. Today, that same father sees me in television, in news channels, in magazines, because recently my father was telling me there's a Malayalam magazine called Vanita.
Yeah.
So there was a feature of me. After his jogging, he was reading it, and then when he opened the magazine, it was my picture. So he went and told my mother, "See, you have to see this month's Vanita magazine." So she was like, "What is all about? You just read it." So, I mean, it took
It's a very-
13 years.
Yeah, it's a very
It took
that's-
13 years for my people to understand that yes, I was doing something which was inevitable and which was something which was not easy to crack, but like one thing, I believed in me always. So if I'm sitting here, if you're telling me I'm a Wonder Woman, if like you ask, I do multiple things. What exactly? कितना रहता फैलाते हो? कौन सा रहता में क्या है? What is that? What is that you do? What is your way? Because people talk mostly about me rather than my ventures.
Yeah.
Because it is something where I have created, like Sandeep just said, I created somewhere a roadmap or a testament to people that entrepreneurship is not actually created by a product or by something innovative. It is also about a journey of an individual, an entrepreneur, where the experience you understand while you thrive and survive that life. You evolve professionally and personally, and the moment your brain starts ticking, no, because that is the moment you understand that what you're capable of. Trust me, I told you, no, my beginning of my sentence was I was a Nile girl. I didn't know anything. Trust me, I didn't know even to cross a road. Because everything was in my tips of my fingers, where I had.
Dubai, you had green lights and red lights. Here, you didn't have that. That's true, right?
So thing is that I was always I was raised like a kid where I didn't had any kind of difficulty. Even I never knew what financial struggle was.
So how did you fund your first startup when you did like, not startup, your first idea? Did you raise any money? Like, it was your savings.
It didn't even run 6 months, Pushkar. Before that, money went in, and by the time my
So it was your savings. That
it was my savings because I got from corporate. I just put it in all my money. So basically, kangal ho gaye. And it is not about being kangal. The insult you get from the every person who looks upon you like one point of time, हाँ ये हमारी घर की रोशनी थी. She was a light. She was a studious student, bruv. Like, you know, she's a rank holder. She did everything. At the end of the day, what are you doing?
No, I kind of, Pushkar, to be very honest, I kind of relate to a story a lot because we come from that background where society expects you to do something. When I dropped off a good consulting, not job, assignment, I think people in my house didn't believe in me. I think just my mom believed in me because she could juggle a lot of things. I think my dad thought, okay, this guy's going to go out, do some stuff. And he was a bureaucrat. He's a bureaucrat. He was a bureaucrat just like yours. But I think that thing that you are setting yourself up for failure, you're not sticking to what you know. And this whole oblivion saying, if we have taught kids to walk, crawl, stand, not get burned by fire, and this entrepreneurship is a whole different ballgame. We don't understand it.
At least you had your mother. The fact is that I didn't have anybody. Anybody means while I was going through that struggle, I couldn't even talk to a person to tell that what mental state I'm going through, because I am a girl who came from a luxury where I didn't have to do anything, and today I am at a financial condition where I don't know to seek whose help. Whom shall I go to my parents and tell that, oh my God, I crapped it up. So then that idea of mine, which is brewing inside me, it's the end of it. So I took the risk that I will not go tell them that I have ended up myself in a mess, but then I solve it. But the issue was that during that time I had to face a lot of struggle from family in an extraordinary style that I couldn't even understand, was my personal problem more big or my professional problem more big. But
No, but tell me something. I think it's a point that we both speak to a lot of entrepreneurs on a daily, weekly basis. Sometimes I think the challenge when you start out a company is you get, I think a very important thing that you mentioned, we get so emotionally vested in our ventures, we are not able to differentiate between the idea and you and the business and who failed.
correct. Because, you're one. You don't know how to differentiate between this is you, this is your concept, this is your strategy, this is your team, because you consider everything as one. And the fact is that sometimes you expect the fellows or the associates or your team to think in that lighter speed as you think. But it never works, because you think Your mind goes that speed. In reality also, you're not going in that speed. But your mind is so fast that and so aggressive and so ambitious that my father at a point of time thought that I was really mad. My father said that I had bipolar disorder. I have this I've never said in any interview. But today I'm telling you, my father, if he's hearing this interview, I would definitely my father, I at a point of time he was so confused, wherein this girl, after going through so much shits, even now she's telling that she's not going to throw it up, she's going to build it again, and she's telling she want to build a crew, she want to build a team. She's so obsessed with that idea. She's not understanding this is not workable in this state, in this country. And being a woman, you are not supposed to do this because tomorrow you're coming late, and what would people think of you? You are a mother, you are a wife. Again, so again, you had a bit of luxury because you're a man.
Yeah.
When I started Pushkar, there was nothing called women entrepreneurship. So I sat in meetings where 19:1. I'll be one woman and 19 men. Some of them used to ask me like, there's nobody in your house who asks you that why are you out here? So I'm like, oh yeah, it should be like that because right now we're not discussing anything personal. Even I had, while I used to work at 12 when the timing in the other part of the world is morning or where it might be an interaction, people used to ask me in WhatsApp, why are you not, why are you still awake? The question is that if it was a man, would that question become
So nervous.
still we are in that society. That is the reason why today I'm a diversity evangelist. Again, I'm telling you, diversity, I just had a recent conversation right now. Diversity is not taking away man from the ecosystem. Diversity is together with man, understanding that with females, this works like this. And understanding man helps you to understand the logic, the math of it. Today, whatever I am, you are calling me superwoman. It is
We call it
because of
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Okay, Wonder Woman. I am Wonder.
Because I think Superwoman is trademarked. So
Okay. So why I'm Wonder Woman is that because I had Avengers with me. My co-founders, my men were their Avengers who taught me that yes, you can do it because we believe in you. It was I who believed in me first. Later on, at a point of time, all my co-founders who work with me totally believe that if I say something, there is something to it. So for me, they were the ones who taught me how to think logically, because my idea was always passionate. Okay, I'm going to do it.
go all in.
Always
Go all in.
on in. No pivots. Actually, it is an utopian idea, I would say. Without even understanding the reality. It is not acknowledging the reality. But when actually I started interacting with men, I understood one thing. They are not so much obsessed or clinched with this thing. They're actually thinking, will this work or will this not?
We're more clinical.
Clinical. Trust me, that's
the word I use with Pushkar all the time.
clinical. So when I started interacting with this man's race, I understood that this clinical thing is very important while building a startup.
Business.
By not only startup, business, because you have to, it's not the idea, it's the implementation. It's not even, see, even if you have the right strategy, is a place right? Is the people right? Is the audience right? Is it niche right? Whether this will work. Because we all work on an experimental permutation combination stuff. We don't have, nobody has an idea of what we'll end up. Today, I'm successful. That is the reason why I'm giving bhashans, I'm giving lectures. I'm talking about, see, so wherever I've spoken, I've been very clear of my failures. I'm not talking about,
I think we
I don't brag about, okay, I got this, I got that. Of course, I'm very happy of what I've achieved. I am immensely honored of today. I've become an inspiration to a lot of people. But more than that, I actually talk about one thing. The failures when I encountered it, it was me alone. It was me alone. When I didn't have a clue of what should I do next. Because in Sharan's interview, I've specifically said that was a real story because it's not the first failure. Second failure, I built up the system. My system was running. That is a time I created a co-working ecosystem, a backup plan so that avenue comes in. But again, because of the co-working thing where I didn't had a legal understanding, when they started telling me this, when they told me that if the co-associate or the person who's sitting in my co-working space didn't pay the money to the client, they'll go to my parents.
To ask for
Threats,
money.
threats.
Wow.
And the moment I'm like, no,
This was
I'll pay you.
this was in Kochi, which year?
Kochi in 2016.
15, 16.
17.
See, I think one of the things that you said, which hit a real spot, is I had this founder who's a very capable woman we've been in touch and off and on, and she runs a decent business, 65 lakhs a month. She called me up 3-4 weeks back, and she said, Sandy, I have an offer to sell out. Should I raise capital or should I sell out the business? It's a very, very interesting story. I've got an option to raise capital or sell out. And if I have to sell out, I have a group that's interested. And I'm like, okay, go on. The option is to raise capital. I'm like, okay, why is that not a good option? Because this group is ready to buy me. I'm like, okay. So what is the other reason? I'm still at a prober. I'm like, you know what? I went to them. They talked to my husband. They talked to my husband, and I brought my husband along, and they talked to my husband. I'm the entrepreneur. And I'm like, interesting. And she's like, yeah, they were very like, and they talked to my husband all throughout. And my husband said, please talk to her. And I'm like, why are you telling me this story? Because you already had this decision, and I 100% believe in your decision. So sometimes I kind of realize what is, I empathize. You hear is the word. I empathize because that decision, that journey is a lot more tougher because you are getting biased. People's judgments are on you. It's a lot.
That you won't understand. So, because you come from the other part of society. So I'm not telling that Bihar and all these
You're a favorite Bihari, by the way.
all these places definitely have rope talk sab hai. But yahan ki patriarchy is in a different game. See, you prove it also. Even still they ask you, okay, fine. What is your tag? Are you whose daughter are you? Whose wife are you? Sometimes where is our identity? I mean, I studied.
But how do you
MTech.
handle these?
This is the way you studied. Huh?
How do you handle these questions?
Trust me, I couldn't face it. I was in this part of that society where I was feeling so insecure. I used to cry. I used to cry under my shower, and I was like, am I that pathetic where I can't even prove myself to my own people. Dunya ko chod do, like Nofal, my own, and it took me years. But when the game started, when I changed the table, so now you can't even wonder, because I had that patience to survive in this ecosystem for 13 years.
And take shit.
And take shit. Absolutely take shit. And 2017 I failed because I had to pay this guy when my co-associate who were working there, his client the money. I gave every money that was in my account of 25 lakhs. I sold the company. I literally sold that infrastructure, and I didn't know what will I do next. Again, another ray of people started coming. They threatened me that if I don't pick, my inner feeling was that what if they go there? So I said, I'll pick. You know what I did? I took
But you didn't have any money, nothing.
nothing, 0 money. Okay, what I did was that I took a loan from a Marwadi. So they asked for collateral. And another key, if I put the collateral, everything is connected. My people will come to know that I've actually mortgaged something. So I didn't have anything mortgaged. I said that I'll pay you. उसको बोलते हैं भट्टी पेंशनर के लिए.
This is like daily interest,
Daily interest.
weekly interest, monthly interest.
1 rupee, 1,000 interest. 1 rupee, 1,000 interest. So from 25 lakhs, Pushkar, it went to 1 CR.
Crazy.
Crazy. But I didn't know the Agra because you don't know finance. See, at that time, at that point of time,
So how did you manage to pay him off? Like you sold another business or?
no, I didn't know what to do. So whatever I had rental incomes that is coming, I told my maid not to come. My kids were in boarding, so nobody knew what was happening. I was alone struggling. I was taking this finance. I was getting this finance, throwing it here. I was like Google was a portal for me. Taking money, giving money. And then I took, I started taking kind of like credits from people, my own friends. But I paid them, I paid every single body back, okay. But because that guru of yours, that somebody you ask help, and because of that, people tell you that, you took thing from, and people think that when you seek help, okay, if you seek help, that means there is a leverage.
There's
That is also something which I really saw.
weakness, yeah.
There is a weakness and there is a leverage. People get an opportunity to leverage you because we helped you, na. So I was at a point of time I understood that even friends, because that is a raw life which you will understand that what is to survive in a world. So I'm a survivor. I'm a warrior. Today I am. No, first I was a victim. Then I was a warrior. Victim, survivor, and now I'm a warrior. I'm a dragon warrior because I'm not afraid of anything today. Pushkar, you ask me, okay, what is next? Is it your venture is going to get doomed tomorrow? I'm like, okay, bring it out.
That is because we have this feeling we can grow down to zero and we can still.
I've gone down to zero, not even zero. I've gone to the core minus. And from there, you asked me, how did I manage it? So I started a bit of consultancy work. Few people who knew me because I studied understanding that how these things work. So then
That's when you started your brand consulting business.
no. So I started
Yeah.
marketing strategy.
Marketing
Strategies. So I understood that how things work. So I started doing research. Then I understood this research works because for research you have to have a comparative analysis, SWOT analysis. Even without having an MBA degree, I started doing it. And once that started doing it, I started bringing in results. So people started trusting me. And then when things were going good, I thought that I need a break.
And that you're doing it on your own, you had a partner. All on your own.
All alone. And all alone. And then slowly my that money I had to give, no? It came from that red level to the orange level. And then I was seeing that greenery somewhere. Okay, one fine day before I die, I'm going to finish this. I mean, you won't believe it. That was my only ambition. My ambition was not to become an entrepreneur. My ambition, successful entrepreneur, dur ki baat, not even an
No,
entrepreneur.
and especially
Mujhe-
if you're a bureaucrat's daughter or a bureaucrat's son, the last thing you want societally is that my son or daughter has got debt and finally they come home.
And
That's
if your
the
daughter
biggest-
does this,
Yeah.
that is not a mistake. It's a great signal, okay, in our society. Still in our society is that. But today, I am very particular that what freedom I give to my son, I give to my daughter also.
Equal.
Equal. If she has it, he also has. But I tell her to be more vigilant because we live in that society. But it doesn't mean that the freedom I give my both children or the way I understand both my children are equal. It's just because he is my son, I won't tell my daughter, okay, clean my son's plate. No way. That doesn't work that way. Because that is not how we have to raise our kids. We have also to raise our sons, not only our daughters, that you are going to live with somebody. So it is like a coexistence. You have to respect another being. So again, today I had a conversation with a women ecosystem where they were talking about diversity. Like I said, it's not removing men. It is togetherness. How do we do it? Even startup is also like a marriage because we need men and women because their ideas, how it evolved. And because the other person only can tell you that you're wrong or right. Because he only knows you very well, no? So co-founders are kind of like people whom you need forever in life. They know you better than your spouses at times. They know you better than your family.
Right. How did you find your first co-founder?
So
The first co-founder was Vinod. Of course, somebody who I know very well.
we know.
How do you know him?
Very briefly, we met at the same time and then we became like, because.
Cytex.
Yeah. Cytex through Cytex.
Yeah.
It's another story. I can tell you off that.
So Vinod was like
She was a little bit of a stalker with Vinod. I remember she telling me that I knew I was tracking this guy.
no, I was the thing was that I once all these things with me, I kind of like I wanted to do something, so I wanted a mentor actually. Because by now I understood that ये मेरी बस की अकेले की बस की बातें I can do that. I'm very good at certain things, but certain things I don't know.
So actually, fundamentally, what you're telling us is that building a business or a startup requires a lot of functional skills.
Very much.
You're talking about finance, administration,
Absolutely,
project.
because I didn't know legal, I didn't know finance. So these were the areas. Even though I was very good at marketing, I was very good with strategies, I was very good with implementing things. But the problem is that I didn't know the other two part, which actually went to a different level where I couldn't even survive. It took me to the beyond the core. So, but again, I was I was also skeptical. Okay, now I do trust people because now I have an experience of, because I've seen everything. No,
Getting burnt once.
and
Twice.
and
Twice.
then I'm like twice burned. It was not burned.
Right.
It was like I've been put in a volcano and I'm a part of it. To after an extent, I could not even feel the heat of it. I'm like, oh, this is a part of me. I have to live with it. So even now I have the trauma where I've not completely, but this trauma I've channelized into a different way where I understood that this is my identity. If that was not there, I would not have been sitting here talking.
I relate.
My confidence comes from that volcano because I understood while that volcano was melting, I was actually finding my true self.
So what is very interesting is I went through a few of your interviews even before I met you. Interesting. That's how deep when I go to BD. But what I kind of relate to what you said right now and what I learned from the interviews is very often people when they're really low and they're getting beaten down don't go very deep and question themselves and then really understand and build fortitude that no, this is what I am. This is what I can become.
Correct.
People always look in that negative spiral and hear a lot of bullshit of people trying to tell you what you are, but that's not the reality. Entrepreneurs are freaking crazy. We are set here to change the world, question everything. That starts with really understanding who you are, and that's what she talks about. She's talked about it in interviews, and this is exactly what you said. Sometimes it needs level.
Because when entire society was judging me of I've actually did my engineering good, I was very good at whatever I do, and at the end of the day, what am I? I bought such. I mean, I'm a failure. Asset, I'm a failure. वो दब्बा लग गया कि I'm a failure, and even now.
It's not believing yourself.
Even I started that kick into me because the influence of the entire people around me, the entire thing where nobody was there, and I didn't find any person whom I could resonate to. There were no females also in the ecosystem where I could speak this. Okay, why is this happening to me? Because another gender could not understand me because they're not facing the same problem because nobody is asking to them, why are you at 10 o'clock in this meeting? Is why nobody is there at your house asking?
So do you encourage a lot of young founders to fail fast, try different things when you're trying to build a business? Is that something that they shouldn't do?
No, what I believe is that entrepreneurship is a journey. According to me, an entrepreneur should actually walk that path. He or she, doesn't matter whether you fail, whether you float, or whether you are in a ventilator mode. These are all what you choose, how you want to become, and what are you learning out of it. Because the insights what you learn during this entrepreneurship is something where it is like a life and death game. Because that is a moment you understand what is who you are actually. Because
So failing twice, what are 2-3 insights you got from failing twice? Most powerful insights.
the first powerful insight which I got from my first failure is that never clinch and get obsessed to an idea which is only an idea.
Brilliant.
Because
That can't execute.
that is the because you only believe in that. This is your PhD knowledge or whatever you are accumulated from wherever you are, where people can't resonate or relate to what you are doing. If you can't communicate it to people, if you can't find your audience, if you don't have strategy, if you don't have implementation channel, however brilliant you are, even you have the brain of Elon Musk, it doesn't work. That is the first insight I got. Second insight I got was that entrepreneurship is a full-time job.
Yeah.
It is not something where you sit in some part of the country and you tell your team that, yeah, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya, mera 10 din ka
It's
chuti,
not a-
I'm taking a sabbatical.
It's not a side hustle with a remote team.
You are a mother, you are a family woman, you are a sister, you are a daughter, you have friends. It doesn't matter. So people say that, how do you multitask? Why do you multitask? Multitasking is not a good. Even I have problems because I have ADHD.
Yeah, we have ADHD. We have spectrum.
I have a problem where I forget things these days. But I'm okay with that. It's okay because my brain is consuming too much of there's no space.
But you talk about multitasking. So how is it something you have to do as a founder, women founder, or any founder?
Of course I have to do. First thing, it is because I'm a woman founder, I have to do it.
More.
Because again, I got into, like, say, I have multiple startup, multiple business.
Wait, you have to come to that point. So you were talking about your first co-founder.
Co-founder.
How many businesses do you do and how many co-founders do you have? It's a very, very
Simple question.
She'll have to think.
My manager said, you're
yeah,
laughing like anything.
But Vinod and Flexiclor happened because you knew you need to have somebody who knows tech, who needs to be a mentor.
No, Vinod didn't happen like that. It was like a random coincidence. I started using LinkedIn. At that time, I had some 200 connections, 200 connections in 2019, I suppose. So 2019, I was just looking for, because I was clueless of what I want to do next. So during that time, I wanted somebody to advise me what is the next thing I'm supposed to do.
So at that
These
point in time, you were doing your consultancy business was going on.
Marketing
Consultancy you were doing.
that too, specifically I was into the real estate area, because that is one thing I used
So you were working with a lot of Middle East clients because of your old connections.
no
Why or
working
all over?
locally with the Indian clients, because by the time I lost all the connection, I didn't have the guts to connect to that corporate world again, because I myself didn't had that confidence, because Kerala society took me to the crushed me to the core, where I'm like, oh my god, I'm loose. But even having that feeling also, somewhere the ray of hope in me, the whisper in me was like, no, you're not made for that. You have that metal to cross everything.
Are you a natural optimist?
I am. I'm a very earthly species, where I believe that everything comes from the cosmos. I'm a very cosmic person, I would say. I believe in people. I believe in natural process. I believe that you should not intervene in certain things, where if the things are going in that natural flow, it should go. Even if we try to interrupt it, it will come back to us in this. If it is continuously coming, it means that it should go in that path. So I believe that like I said, my point is that I'm a very natural person, and I'm an optimist, because I don't give up on me. The first thing is that I don't give up on me, and I don't give up on the people whom I believe in. I believe that I had also taken energy from the people around me, who I believe that these are very positive people for me. I take energy from it. It's not only my energy, because people think that, oh my god, it's just because you're an ADHD. No, it's not that. I think the people around me makes me feel so positive. I draw energy from them. So I think because of that, I'm a natural optimist.
So whenever you go to a room, you always take up the energy, like increase the energy of the room.
Yeah, I'm a catalyst. I'm an enhancer. I'm a muse, I would say. I have an energy wherein whatever is there, I can enhance it. So that is the reason whenever there is something going on the left side, whether it is distraction or whether it's a fight or an argument, these days I don't pick it up, because I'm very good at that also. So instead of that, I pivot in such a way that why can't I be in a very positive? Because I also believe in the entity of that Shiva wala thing, where instead it should be balance. Because if you take it the other way, it can create destruction. But again, if you're trying to annihilate something for a good cause, that is also a good thing, because it is again a new beginning. This is something which
Compounding the universe, so to speak.
because I read a lot. I read myths. I'm so smitten by Greek stories, and so smitten by the Hindu
Mythology.
I've read a lot of. I watch a lot of series on Netflix and other that is connected to mythologies, and because that gives you a lot of whether it existed or it was there. That's another question. But there's the message that you get. It's something incredible.
Core essence value. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
He reads a
From
lot.
Caesar, from Mark Antony, from Cleopatra, because the story is that Alexander, all these people, it was not their ambition that made them historic or legends. It is that they believed in themselves, and they also took the effort to reach that point where they want to reach,
So I'm
no matter what.
So I'm revealing on this podcast, Pushkar's day job is actually of a reader. He reads books every day. That's very envious.
I used to read, but today I don't get time. But I actually see movies for that. I get inspiration from movies.
But which is your favorite Greek or any mythology story?
Any story that is related to Olympus is kind of like very much kind of like it's like it's so exciting. I love that story. I love the story of Zeus, Poseidon, Athena. I'm kind of like I sometimes I feel like I live in their world. Seriously, because there's a thing to it. My primary company's name is Oriya. Oriya is a Taino word. The meaning of it is mountain. it is in that mountain, according to mythology, under this mountain, the gods of Olympus, the 7 gods of Olympus used to take decisions, solutions. So I created Oriya to in the concept is that we create business solution to the people under the 7 different departments.
Who are the 7 Greek gods in Oriya in your company?
More than
You are
7
one of them.
gods. More than 7 gods. I've put that 7 different niche verticals. Because more than gods, sometimes I feel we are we are increasing in numbers. The most because we have also founders of a system now, kind of like.
So what
management.
what all do you do, Roria? You do brand marketing,
We do
PR, all of that?
3 degree business solution. We started with Martech in the beginning. That is in 2018, before my second failure got, this is the same Oriya company. See, I've never changed the name of it. It is always Oriya. 2013 it was Oriya, 18 it was Oriya, 2019 it was Oriya. And I got it successful, and eventually once we became in a branding company, I understood the potential of how branding works, because people think that designing is branding. It is not. It is just the basic essence of where you visually show or highlight or showcase to people of what you are. That is where the design part comes. But branding is something like a core identity where you convey to the audience, okay, this is what you are, this is what you're capable of, who you are, how far, how exactly.
Book, tone of voice.
Your tone of voice. It's actually your voice, your core identity. How exactly your clients can believe you. What you're good at. Why exactly? Is there a concept? Is there a line of...
How do you convince your clients to believe in you? What is your tone of voice?
Oh my God. You asked the integral question. The DNA of the entire thing he asked me in one single thing. I'm actually kind of getting
How does that
frustrated by him
how
because
does that
he
cosmic
asked me the
energy?
right questions. How is that, dude? How can you ask me such right question? Because sometimes, right question gives you that opportunity to answer certain things which you really want to convey to the world. So the question of how do I convince my clients? I don't put any kind of effort in convincing my clients. I just understand what exactly they want. I ask them right questions. From there, the answers they give me, I tell them, this is the reality. This is what your present scenario is. This is what can be done. This is the tenor in which this can be done. The logical part is that this thing, when this goes like this, these are the outcomes. If we can rectify in this particular time these many activities or strategy, we, instead of going to this zone, we can get to this zone. And I'm a consultant and I'm an expert who can do this. If you believe me, you can do this. I don't need to go to that sentence. Before that, my client tells me, please do it for me. Trust me, I'm obliged to all my clients, because in most of the times,
She's part of my club. We don't have to sell. We don't have to market.
I build brands. Brand in itself sells. Today I'm a brand in itself, it sells. And people say, no, customer is the king and customer is the queen. To me, I believe in one thing. I am the queen, where the customer is the kind of interacting with me. I'm so comfortable with my clients because they give me the freedom
You're very
to
honest.
take care of my... I'm very
You're
honest.
very honest.
I'm very
I've
honest.
said.
If I can't help them and tell them, listen, I can't do this. This is because even if I do this also, you will not get this thing done. So better let us rectify this first with other experts getting into thing. And what I cannot do, I tell them I cannot do this, but I have an array of experts who can do this for. So that is the reason why I have multiple business who had. I am a co-founder or a CXO, because these, in every system of mine, I do only one thing. I strategize, I position it. The founder who is actually doing the thing, he does it. In Oriya, I am the founder. So I basically strategize. I build brands. We do a research. We do a brand research. We understand how this brand can be connected to its target audience, where we don't focus. In a market segment or a simple target audience. We actually crack the ICP, ideal customer profile. So who is the ideal customer profile? So for that, we have a lot of questionnaire which we interact with the client to understand, okay, even at a point of time, client doesn't understand who the ICP is. But we figure out that for that. Then we understand, then we go for a SWOT analysis, we go for a comparative analysis where we understand that, okay, the client wants to become, the benchmark of who the client is looking is this particular venture. That is what their idea about that particular niche is. I mean, then I come up with the question, are you all capable to become them? And one more thing, don't try to copy them. You can't become them. Instead, what you can do is that you can take certain essence from them, which had worked for them in that market, which you can align with your concept. Let's club it. Let's make another bundle. Let's make another concept which actually will work, because the basic core thing has worked for them. So that means market had accepted them. But in the same market, what is exactly you going to do, which is going to be even a differentiator even from them? The benchmark you see as an idol is also going to treat you as a differentiator. So that is the marketing strategy which we work.
Brilliant.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Again, today we are in a special place. Thanks to the wonderful people at Raqqa. And I know a lot of my friends who are ex-REC alumni would love the fact that we are in Raqqa. Thanks a lot.